All right, hi everyone. This is Justin Rondeau, the Director of Optimization at DigitalMarketer. And in this video, we're going to do another design critique. And today we'll be looking at Iron Mountain. Iron Mountain is an information and storage company, so they'll kind of like hold on to all of your documents. And so this is pretty much as B2B as it gets here. So one of the things we'll be looking at today is just the page design on one of their most recent redesigns. So you'll see here is this is the old variation. I'll scroll through quickly. All right, short page. What I've been seeing in a lot of these design critiques is people moving from short pages to much long form pages. So here is the new design. Okay, adding in more content, more calls to action. All right, so that's kind of the overview of the page there. And so per all of my critiques, I have 5 main categories I'm going to look at. I have clarity, readability, on-site experience, appearance, and then finally navigation. So based on these 5 factors, I'm going to see which variation has the edge, and we'll tally it up at the end and see if they are going in the right direction. Whenever it comes to business-oriented sites, I really feel like they've been seriously stuck in some old design trends here, and you can see this in the old one here. But let's get away from appearance first. Let's start talking about clarity in general. In terms of clarity, this is a busy page. There's a lot of text. I can see it's solutions for federal government. That's actually clear, but solutions for what? And then we start off with a question: what if you can meet today's information challenges effectively? I don't think they should be asking a question at this point because I still don't know what they're all about here, right? Maybe someone hitting this page might have a little bit more of an understanding, but still, they need to talk about what they provide and what's in it for the user, right? Asking kind of using a headline for almost a weak question isn't really all that helpful. All right, and then it just kind of they still have other factors in here as well, where they use a left-hand navigation for more information. They're trying to get you to download a copy of a free ebook. They do have live chat in terms of leave a message, and then they still have just some more just random acts of copy in here, which is a little odd. And then they actually go and ask you for a free quote, and I have no idea what I'm getting a free quote for. All right, so in terms of clarity, this is pretty weak. So the new variation is going to have to kind of knock it out of the... It doesn't have to work that hard there. So the new variation, solutions for U.S. federal government, reduce risk, save money, enable enterprise information management. Now that is a much better, clear, and concise headline there. I love it. It's kind of done way better than the previous variation there. It also fits in the standard design schema that we'd expect to see while going through the old internets there. They still use those garbage tabs. Here's a thing. People don't really click those things. Maybe you can start with that to see what bits of information people are looking for the most, and look in your analytics and see what they're doing. After that, whatever they look at most, you should probably just have that out for them to see immediately. They maintained the live chat, and they went for 2 columns here. What happens here is they have the same problem as the old page, where they have just weird random acts of copy, and then multiple offers here. So they have contact us, contact sales. Is us sales? I don't know. They do have chat live, which I think is a good thing. They're pushing some kind of free copy of something. And then further, they'll have us learn more about each bit of their service, which it's not really helping me there because I don't know what the main call to action here is on there. I know maybe it's got to be contact sales, but they only say that once on the page, so they're not particularly clear about that. So this variation, the updated variation, does win for overall clarity. They would have really swept this if they kind of tightened up the amount of options they had on the page. All right, so now let's take a look at readability. In terms of readability, I think it's fairly clear that this is a lot easier to read. Kind of standard headline, subhead. Despite my how I've been knocking the text on here, like headline and then associated paragraph, whereas this is just a mess. This is just a bit of a mess. So for readability, the updated version takes the win. Okay, and I was talking about appearance early on because I couldn't help but talk about that when I was initially kind of moving into clarity. The appearance overall is just way better. in terms of design. Like again, main call to action is right there front and center. They do use kind of a standard hero image, but it makes sense because it's solutions for the federal government. And I just think it's an overall much sleeker design, right? If you go here, I mean, this is old school business to business, right? And they needed to move away from that, and I think that they went in the right direction. So in terms of appearance, this has to go to the updated variation. All right, and now let's take a look at on-site experience. This is kind of a no contest here because they do have a lot of the mixed messaging and the tabulation and all sorts of other kind of major faux pas that you'd expect that in an update they would have taken care of. So I'm actually going to go with no contest here, despite a sleeker appearance and those things. They still have the same fundamental problem on the page, which is kind of message confusion, right? And when you have a confused page where you don't know what you want them to do, or you're just kind of trying to get them to act in any sort of way rather than in a specific way, the experience is going to actually be diminished for the user. So in this case, it's a no contest for sure. And then finally, moving on to navigation, I believe they have the same nav, so there's no difference there. That again is a no contest. So in this case, the score ends up being 3-0, updated variation to previous variation. Iron Mountain, you're going in the right direction. I just really hope you clean up some of these clarity and then call to action issues, and you will have a much better performing page.